And this is Ken Kraetzer with another edition of the Iona College Basketball Report, sponsored by the Sons of the American Legion, part of the American Legion, the world's largest veterans organization. And here with my good friend Kevin Hamilton from the class of 1980. And Kevin, a lot to talk about today. Both the men's and women's teams won all their games over the weekend and went 5-0. And we got a big celebration of 75 years of Iona basketball here on Saturday afternoon with the 2 o'clock start against Siena. And Kevin, you've been a big part of Iona basketball from really the late 70s and since then. Just tell us a little bit, if you would, some of the great moments that you've experienced in your playing days and then years watching Iona College basketball.
Well, first of all, thank you, and it's great to be back speaking to you and the Gael fans out there. So some great moments for me were many. I could trace back to early days when we played a very strong national schedule, doing well, playing some of the best teams in the country. And certainly for me, it's good to see the Iona fans coming to support this particular team, because I remember very vividly pretty much every game that we played were, standing room only type games where the fans were just really there supporting the team. So it's good to see, and be able to reminisce on that's happening again. We had a lot of great days at Iona. Making the NCAA tournament, winning a tournament game was very, very special. But really just showing up every day to play for the fans and for your friends and for, the Gael Nation was something very special.
Well, I do go back to the year of the 1970s when Jim Valvano was the coach and Jeff Ruland was one of the star players. And you had that big night at Madison Square Garden against Louisville, Denny Crum's team. And I remember taking the train down from Westchester down to the Garden and being one of those 19,000 people there. I think there are about 75,000 people who claim to be there. But tell us a little bit about that game. It's really one of the key moments in Iona basketball history.
Well, it was a very special moment for all of us that participated and for all of our fans and friends. It was one of those days that as Coach Valvano recruited us, he talked about Dare to Dream, and he talked about dream of playing the 9 p.m. game, premier game, Madison Square Garden against one of the best teams in the country, and we will win. And it came true. So it was very, very special. But I'll tell you what's really interesting is right after that very big victory for us, very good celebration. Everybody was very happy. I particularly remember having an 8 a.m. class the next day that I made sure I got to. And in that class, we were received very, very warmly from our professor and all the students. And those are the things that you never forget.
Well, that's what college basketball, college athletics is all about, having a big night of athletics and then being at class the next day and being a regular student. And one of the people that I always remember in Iona basketball is J.B. Bono, the trainer. And J.B. passed away a few years ago. We miss him every game. He's to sit out on the end of the bench. What's your favorite J.B. story?
Well, I really can't tell you my favorite J.B. story, but I can tell you that J.B. is one of a kind, or was one of a kind, very special to all of us. And, his spirit for life and just pleasure lives on in Iona basketball. And, the spirit of J.B. being so happy-go-lucky and being the number one Gael fan there was is something that, we'll never forget, and just a great guy.
Yeah, to point out, JB was a World War II veteran and was always very proud of that. And then so many veterans did. They went into education after their military experience. Now, Kevin, we've had, let's just maybe go over the women's team. Boy, Joy Adams has just been playing phenomenally. She was recognized this week as one of the 5 NCAA Women Basketball Players of the Week. And the women's team had some terrific wins this past week. Why is the women's team taking off right now?
Well, it really starts with leadership at all levels, and certainly Coach Gaels is doing all the right things with this team. getting them prepared for each individual contest and having them peak at the right time. I believe they now have sole possession of first place in the conference, which says a lot in this very tough conference when you have, Marist and Monmouth and Siena and other very, very good lady programs. But the leadership also, from the players' perspective, with Joy, like I mentioned in the previous broadcast, doing everything it takes to help her team win, and lately doing more than what it takes on the court to score, to rebound, and just do everything that makes her a premier player in college basketball right now. So hats off to the ladies right now, but I can guarantee you that it won't be satisfying until they get through the playoffs and win the conference at that level.
Yeah, the women's basketball team 13-2 in sole possession of first place in the Metro Atlantic Conference, and just one of the games last week at Siena, which Iona won. Joy Adams had 20 points, 14 rebounds in that game, and one of the reasons she was named as an NCAA Women's Basketball Player of the Week. The point guard, Marina Lizarazu, had 11 points in that game, and Alexis Lewis had 17 points in that game at Siena. And the women Gaels have from Iona. Now, for the men's side, they went up and took care of business up on the Western New York trip. Very tight game with Canisius that they won. And then they won 84-66 at Canisius. And then at Niagara, 75-61. They came away with that win. So Iona's now 11-3. Is this Iona team peaking right now, would you say, Kevin?
I would say they're headed in the right direction. And the possibilities are very strong for the Gaels. That was a very tough road trip, as we spoke about before. For them to capture 2 victories and still get home in time enough to watch the second half of the Super Bowl was very spectacular. But there's still much more to do. And I would guarantee you that Coach Kloos, Coach Grasso, and the rest of the staff are really looking to refine some of those areas that they can improve on to get them back into the top of the conference, and then certainly be prepared for what will be grueling playoffs up in Albany once that time comes.
Well, we've seen certainly A.J. English kind of break out again and have 2 strong games on the road trip. And he is just such a spectacular player. He's maybe a little bit too unselfish at times and trying to set up his teammates, but if he can, we might say score is 20 to 25 points a game, that opens up everybody else on the Iona offense.
Well, AJ's doing it all. I mean, I would have loved to play with him, especially when he's in the mode of looking to get the rest of his teammates involved. But overall, the rest of the team feeds off of AJ, and you can see that confidence is really starting to build with the rest of the players, with AJ looking to keep them involved, get them involved, and make sure that others are contributing from the scoring perspective. So AJ's doing all the right things right now, and his teammates are really responding in the right fashion.
Well, one of the players that's really been playing well for Iona is Deshani Moosh, who is really starting to get more confident with his shot and be a solid contributor. Games makes up a little bit for the loss of Cedric Casimir, who's been out with surgery this year. So one of the players that Iona really can look to take another role, take some of the pressure and some of the double teaming off of AJ.
Well, Deshaun is really stepping up, and this is a special road trip for him to be close to home and play in front of family and friends, and he did not disappoint. So look for him to continue that, and look for the rest of, like we mentioned, I'm sure you're going to mention some other players, look for them to continue to stay on a very confident streak that they're on right now.
And certainly Isaiah Williams has been playing very strong, both shooting the ball and still rebounding. And one of the things when you watch Isaiah play is he's got such good hands to grab the basketball. And that's something, that's so important in basketball. I mean, sometimes you see it, it's like a good wide receiver in football has good hands to grab the ball. and Isaiah really does that. And he's so intense and so dedicated, and you can see this season means so much to him. And we're just looking forward to Isaiah having a strong end of the season and a long run in the postseason.
Well, Isaiah has it going right now, really stroking his three and making sure that he's, doing all the things that he does well, the rebounding, defending the best players on the other team, and running the floor and making himself an offensive threat has really helped the Gaels in this latest streak.
And, of course, Jordan Washington, a key rebounder for Iona, also a good inside player for generating inside points in the paint. He's just got to avoid taking fouls. I know that seems to be the strategy. Was Manhattan, Steve Masiello said that they were going to just run at him early to try and draw some fouls and hopefully get him out of the game. So he's just got to – how does a player avoid that when a team is driving down the lane at them every play to try and draw fouls?
Well, you don't avoid it, and I wouldn't encourage Jordan to avoid it. Some fouls when you're reaching and you're – trying to block a shot every time down isn't wise. But I wouldn't change anything Jordan's doing right now. You want him to stay aggressive. You want players to know when they come down the lane that Mr. Washington's waiting there to either block your shot or knock you to the floor. Those things, continue to make the Gaels a complete team. And Jordan, don't change. Just, one less foul a game won't hurt.
Hey, well, we've got the game coming in on Saturday afternoon, 2 o'clock against Siena, and an aggressive team, a team that's been improving, 9-5 in the conference, big improvement for Siena from last year. And I know they're going to be anxious to have a good performance. What is it going to take for Iona to defend against Siena?
Well, the first thing is defend your home court. It's very important that the Gaels come out and play like they've played at home all year long, confident, shoot the ball well. Siena presents a little bit of a problem because of their size and their ability on the inside is a little untraditional for a Siena-type team. But they're a very good team, and the Gaels are going to have to play well. So look for the Gaels to be able to apply some pressure to Siena, but look for Jordan and others, Aaron Roundtree, to present some problems for a bigger Siena team to have to keep up with the Gaels running up and down the floor. So it should be a very good contest and one that I know the Siena fans out there are looking forward to. But, be careful what you ask for.
Absolutely, and then we'll be back here Monday night at the Heinz Center, 7 o'clock for Quinnipiac, the Bobcats, who Iona defeated in Connecticut earlier this season, right at the beginning of the post-first-of-the-year conference schedule. And Quinnipiac, traditionally a very good rebounding team. And so what are your thoughts about Iona trying to handle Quinnipiac in that home game and go 2 for 2 against Quinnipiac this year?
Well, that home game against Quinnipiac in Connecticut was one that was back and forth for a good part of the game until the Gaels really caught fire in the second half. AJ really caught fire, particularly in that game. Ibn Muhammad did some great things, and certainly Jordan was a big presence. But Quinnipiac's not going to be an easy game. I mean, they are trying to find themselves at the right time of the year going into tournament time, and they have some good players. But look for the Gaels to be able to handle them, especially if they shoot the ball well here at home like they traditionally do. It should be a problem for Quinnipiac to be able to keep up with the Gaels.
Very good. Always one kind of big picture college basketball question. What about Villanova being ranked number 1 in the country this week?
Well, Jay Wright will tell you that he doesn't have any one superstar in his team, but he has a team full of guys that play like superstars. So they play very, very well together. It's a total team game for them. They defend particularly well. But I tell you, any given night, like we talked about, it could be any team that can step up and beat another team. Right now, Villanova's on top. I believe they're probably the 10th team this year to hold the number 1 spot. And, good luck to them. But there'll be a lot of teams out there that'll make that their Super Bowl when they play the top team in the country.
Well, Kevin Hamilton, I'm really looking forward to Saturday afternoon, the 2 p.m. game against Siena. Come out early. It's going to be a special occasion as Iona College celebrates 75 years of basketball here in New Rochelle. So many great moments, and I'm really looking forward to seeing some of the former players coming back and getting a chance to say hello and reminisce a little bit with them. So Saturday afternoon, 2 o'clock, and then don't forget Monday night, the Gaels will play a very good Quinnipiac team at 7 o'clock. We're not even going to talk about the game next Friday night up at Monmouth.
No need to do that. Just one game at a time. Coach Kluse will tell you that's what they look forward to.
Absolutely. So we'll talk about that next week. So come on out and watch. Come out to the celebration on Saturday afternoon of 75 years of Iona College basketball. There's a great chance to see Joy Adams and all the fine players on this very, very good first-place women's team here at Iona. So both college teams, basketball teams in Iona, really are prepping well for the MAAC playoffs that come up just in a couple of weeks. Kevin Hamilton, good to see you. We'll look forward to seeing you on Saturday.
Look forward to it. Thank you very much. Go Gaels.
Great, Kevin. Always a pleasure. This is Ken Kraetzer for Sons of the American Legion Radio, part of the family of the American Legion, and we'll look forward to seeing you this week. And have a great week. We'll look forward to seeing the Iona games this weekend. Have a good day.